Alright, what's up everybody? Back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today's another episode of the Look In series, and this one is on the Memphis Grizzlies after eliminated the other day by the LA Lakers in the first round. A lot of stuff. Talk about this team. They've been, the talk of the NBA a little bit this season. Very crazy year. We're going to get into it. Thank you guys for the views on the vids and the shorts recently. We appreciate it. If you missed any of the other Look In episodes, you can go back, just play this on my channel. Go back, watch all the first 20 of them, all the teams that have been eliminated so far. And we're going to have another one on the Sacramento Kings tomorrow. If you do like the content, consider subscribing, like, turn on notifications, those over that. Really appreciate it. Really said a lot. If you know anybody that likes basketball, you're watching this, send them that. Help me out a little bit. And also on Twitter at EverydayHoops10. And let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. The Memphis Grizzlies this season, they finished 51-31, second in the Western Conference. On paper, really good year, but there was a lot going on this season. Coming into this season, they did not have Jaren Jackson Jr. He had some off-season foot surgery. We didn't know when he was going to come back. He came back a lot earlier than I thought. And they were pretty good to start the year. Jaren came back, and they got even better. They looked amazing throughout the first few months of the year. They had a little down stretch, I think it was in January, where they kind of fell a little bit. They kept falling, but they kept bringing it back up. And then we had a lot of the off-court situations go on with whole Ja Morant stuff going on when he was in the club, and then some other stuff about, some lawsuits hitting 17-year-olds, all that stuff about Ja Morant. Came out and he was suspended by the NBA. He missed a lot of the season, and then we had the whole Dylan Brooks things where he was making a lot of antics and doing stuff. And kind of the NBA everyone kind of turned on the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies were one of the teams that everyone loved to watch, and Ja was fun, and Grizzlies were the young upcoming team. Everyone loved them, and then they kind of turned into the villains of the league, the team. Well, mainly it wasn't the whole team. It was like one or two people that were really making it that far, especially one particular person. But yeah, then everyone wanted to see them fall, especially after Ja Morant said we're fine in the West. So they end the year like that. They still get second in the Western Conference. They go into the first round against the Lakers. Ja Morant gets hurt, but he still comes back and plays excellent. And they lose to this hot LA Laker team in 6 games. And that's 2 years in a row now, where they're the second seed in the Western Conference, and they don't make the conference finals. Last year they lost to the Warriors in the second round. This year they lose to the Lakers in the first round. And now it's starting to become what's next for this Memphis Grizzlies team. I think there's a few things they have to really improve on. Let's go into the individual players first, though, starting with Ja Morant. Another really good year. He averaged 26 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, and a steal. He shot 46% from the field, 30% from 3, 74 from the free throw line. He only played in 61 games because of suspension, and he had a couple injury problems here and there as well. But I think Ja on the court is excellent. He's got to slow down a little bit. He tries to jump over everybody and dunk over everybody, which I love. I mean, he has the athleticism. It's like, why not? But you got to chill a little bit, Ja. Don't want your knees to blow out early. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Just got to chill out a little bit on that. And off the court, I like what he said after they lose to the Lakers in the press conference. He was kind of honest about everything. He was like, hey, we had a lot of off-court issues that really derailed us this season. It kind of was just saying, hey, we messed up. We got to be more mature. We got to be better. And I love that from him as kind of this young star, and it's supposed to be kind of the leader-ish of this team, to take that kind of approach and be honest with the media and just speaking, he knows what's wrong and he's got to fix it. And I hope he does, because, everyone loves to watch Ja Morant play. The energy, the athleticism. He's literally a walking highlight reel every time he steps on the court. He's one of the most fun young players, and he's actually a really, really, really good star player. So everyone wants to watch him play. No one wants to see him fail, especially if it's off-court related stuff that kind of derails his career. No one wants to see that. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction for him. And that next year he can come in and hopefully no more off-court issues, and he could just stick to playing basketball and being great, and hopefully the injuries don't really hurt him because he was injured a little bit this season. And even in the playoffs, he played with that wrapped up wrist, even though he still had 44. That game he came back with the wrist injury, which is insane. But hopefully the injuries and the off-court issues don't derail him, and he could come back next year and be this star that we all know he can be. Next, I want to talk about Jaren, because Jaren Jackson Jr. had a phenomenal season as well. Finished averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds and assists, a steal, 3 blocks per game. He shot 50% from the field, 35% from 3. Made his first All-Star appearance and won Defensive Player of the Year. Just a phenomenal year. He's just a huge piece of this Memphis Grizzlies team on both ends, offensively. Especially when Ja Morant was out, he looked really good and unlocked a little part of his offensive game. I'd love to see him do that a lot more in the Lakers series. He did it in Game 1, but then after that, he didn't really get the ball as much. But I'd love to see him unlock a little bit more of their offensive ability, because I think if he can do that more and average about 18, 19, near 20 points per game while giving you elite defense in the paint, I mean, who knows? I mean, that just brings another element to this Grizzly team. Love to see that a lot more. He got to stop fouling. He averages over 3.5 fouls a game. He's got to slow that down, especially if he wants to be an elite rim protector and defense player. He's got to stop fouling as much. And hopefully, I mean, he's still only it's crazy. He's still only like 24, 23, 24, which is crazy. So hopefully he can kind of mature out of that. But I think he's a big part of this Grizzlies team. And hopefully he takes another step offensively and kind of is what he is at the end of the year, kind of throughout the entire season. He doesn't need to average 26 points per game, obviously, but just being more aggressive offensively and not being lost in the offense would be a big thing. Next, we'll talk about Desmond Bane. Bane had a pretty injury kind of plague year as well. He started the year off averaging like 25 a game, but then injuries happened, and it kind of took him a little while to get back to that point. He never really did get back to that 25 points per game level. And in the playoffs, he was somewhat a little bit disappointing. He had one or two good games, but that entire series a little bit of a disappointing series. He finished averaging 21.5 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. Shot 48% from the field, 40% from 3. I think he's going to have another good year next year. And he's just a really good complementary player, you know. A guard that can, lights out shooter, but also when he needs to, he can get his own. I'd like to see him maybe be a little bit better at that, because he relies a lot on three-pointers. Like, you look at this. He takes 16 shots a game. 7 of those 16 shots are three-pointers. I'd like to see him maybe not rely on the three, maybe get a little bit more of his own when he needs to once in a while. Like to the basket or a little mid-range, because he's a really good shooter. He probably has a good mid-range jump shot. I'd like to see that a little bit more. And defensively, he's pretty solid as well. I just really like the core of this Grizzlies team. Those 3 young guys are really, really good players, and Grizzlies need to keep all those guys around. I think those 3 could be something really, really special in Memphis. And now let's get to some other things. Dillon Brooks. Let's get to it. He is going to be a free agent this offseason. In 73 games, he averaged 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. He shot 39% from the field, and 32% from 3, and 78% from the free throw line. 39% of the field is nuts, especially when he's taking 13 shots a game. Sure, 39% of the field is crazy. A lot of talk about Dillon Brooks. A lot of talk about Dillon Brooks. And everything that's gone on this year. Him being the villain. Him doing a lot of extra stuff. Talking a lot of talk, but not backing it up. And then in the playoffs, he skipped out on the media the last 3 games after they lost those games. Which is just like, Dillon, you can't really do that if you know what's going to come to you if you do that. But there's a lot of conversations going on about if Dillon Brooks will be a Memphis Grizzly next season. Him going to free agency. He's been a core part of this Grizzlies team. Why they're good. On the defensive end, you can't really complain. Defensively, he's going to be great. It's just this year, looking at on the court, defensively he's great. But offensively, he takes so many shots and does so many things. It's like, why? Why did you do that? Especially on offense, shooting the ball. It's like, he takes so many shots, but he's not a great shooter to take those shots. And it's just tough when Dillon Brooks is getting so many jumpers, even though you have guys like Luke Kennard and maybe like Brandon Clark down low and shooters out there, and you got Dillon Brooks taking all those shots away from other guys. It's like, dang. And then the antics as well just bringing so much more attention to this Grizzly team when they already have the John Moran situation going on. Then you have Dylan Brooks doing this stuff on the court. It's just a lot to go on. And the Grizzlies have to make a really tough decision on, do we keep this dude around when he's been a part of this core and a big part of this team for a while, and he was a steal for them. Remember, Dylan Brooks was like the 48th pick, I want to say, something around there. And they found him in the second round, and he worked his way up to becoming a good player for this team. But now it's kind of time to be like, do we want to keep him around, even though he's been a part of the culture in this for so long? Or should we go with another approach at the forward spot and kind of leave Dylan Brooks on the outer end? We don't want him kind of messing up this team. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that and what team will pick him up, because I think teams are definitely going to be interested in Dylan Brooks. But it's just what team and what role he'll get will be huge. So we got to see what that happens. But, I mean, I really like this Grizzly team. I mean, even the role players of this team are really good. Like Steven Adams, he only played 42 games because of the injury. He was a huge piece that was lost. I mean, you saw when Steven Adams got hurt, the Grizzlies kind of went on a losing streak and couldn't really find their way, because Steven Adams is such a huge piece, being in the paint, getting so many offensive rebounds, and just clogging the paint. I thought him was very tough. Tyus Jones is the best backup point guard in the league. He was amazing. Averaged 10 points, 5 assists, averaged less than a turnover per game. You know, he doesn't make that many mistakes. Just an amazing basketball player. And then Brandon Clark was a big loss as well. He only played 56 games before tearing his Achilles. He averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds. Hopefully he can come back soon, because he's a big part of this Grizzly team, bringing a lot of energy, defense, rebounding off the bench. But even besides them, like you saw Luke Kennard came into the trade deadline and was a huge piece. He shot 54% from 3 in his 24 games. He was amazing. He's a shooter out there. Santi Aldama kind of became a regular rotational piece. Xavier Tillman has some big moments. The rookie David Roddy, I like him kind of being a defensive guy, 3-and-D, energy bringing wing. John Conchar is really solid. Even got some Kenny Lofton moments that I think Kenny Lofton could be very solid. You know, who doesn't want to see him succeed? You forget that Zaire Williams is on this team, even though he was like a starter last year. Kind of dealt with a lot of injuries. Hopefully he can come back from them, get some minutes back, because I think Zaire Williams could be very solid. This Grizzlies team is very young, has a really good... They built this team very well. And now GM Zach Kleiman has a lot of decisions to make on what's the next move. Because for the past 2 years, this has been a 50-plus win Grizzly team that has not made it far. And they're still very young. They don't need to win a championship next year or anything. Don't not rebuild or anything. But I think it's time for the Grizzlies to take the next step. It's time for the Grizzlies to be like, all right, let's just not win 50 games and lose in the first round. Like, let's win 50 games. Let's make a statement. Let's bring our teams to the next level. And one of the things to bring this team to the next level is that kind of forward position and seeing what's out there. Maybe to bring one more big piece to this team that can really bring it whole. Because you got Ja, you got Bane, the guards. Ja, you got the superstar that does a lot of everything. Desmond Bane's a really good complementary piece, shooting, scoring, defensively. Jaren Jackson, amazing defensively, offensively, can give you some stuff as well. You got a good bench, good depth. But it's just, what's next? And I would think another wing player at the trade deadline. They're trying to go for guys like Mikal Bridges. Maybe I would like an OG Anunoby piece over there. Grizzlies got some solid young talent. They got some picks. And maybe they go on and try to get OG Anunoby, because the Raptors look like they're going into a different direction. Now, would it happen? I don't know. I don't know the Grizzlies' pick situation, but I assume they have most of their picks. I don't remember any big trades they made where they gave up a lot of picks recently. So I think the Grizzlies have a lot of their picks. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe they go after a guy like OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges, who they were trying to get at the trade deadline. Maybe that's a move to make. That would be a really good move for Memphis. But just a wing like that, a two-way wing that can bring in that defensive end, kind of replace that if Dylan Brooks does leave, that Dylan Brooks defensive impact. But offensively, could be a lot more efficient and can bring you another dynamic where maybe he can go out and have a little bit of creation ability, which is OG Anunoby has some creation ability. have him. He can get you 16, 18 points while also bringing elite defense. Can shoot the three, can drive to the rim. I like a guy like that. Mikal Bridges, we've seen what he did in Brooklyn this year. That would be a big move. Trying to think of any other wing names. Wings like that. A wing that can really bring another dynamic to this Grizzlies team on both ends of the ball. And the second piece of bringing this Grizzlies team to the next level is kind of their mindset and maturity. Kind of growing up. John Moran said it, we had a lot of issues off the court. We got to kind of grow up. And this Grizzlies team, the young core, guys like Ja, Bane, they got to kind of grow up and take it to the next level and be like, all right, we got to have the right mindset of wanting to be better and wanting to be, get far. We have to kind of change our approach and be a lot more mature and get better in that way. And if they can do that, I think that would do a lot more than people think with this Grizzlies team. But good thing is they have good vets, guys like Steven Adams, who's been on multiple different playoff teams. Tyus Jones kind of is a veteran as well. Maybe they bring in a vet or two in free agency that can kind of help this team out. But very interesting for this Grizzlies team next season. I think next year is kind of a big year. Not in a sense of they have to win a championship or anything crazy like that, but kind of just seeing how this team kind of grows and kind of the next step of this Grizzlies team, the next level of this Grizzlies team, maybe being a lot more playoff competitive and maybe making a conference finals appearance. But I'm very, very interested to see what happens with Memphis. And I love watching the Grizzlies. They're really fun to watch. So hopefully they have another good year next year. And in the playoffs, things are a lot different than what they were the first two seasons. Yeah, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing, like, turn on notifications, stuff like that. Really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Again, if you missed any of the other look-in episodes, go watch them. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.